Right. Well, this one comes to us from the Navy Times as well, guys. They're crushing it this week. Big, heavy Navy week. This story is absolutely batshit crazy, by the way. The slap that nearly killed a prospective Navy SEAL happened at 10:09 a.m. on October 12th, 2017, in the Donnell classroom inside California's Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, 24 minutes after Bud's Class 326 handed out maps and compasses to students. So doing a little land nav. The instructor posted a land nav problem on the board, and the prospective Navy SEAL started figuring out an 8-digit grid solution. So we all remember land nav, sorting stuff. I sucked at it. I always fucked it up.
I always enjoyed it. I always thought it was fun.
And here it should be noted, as they're sitting in this classroom and they're trying to figure it out, Navy officials say challenge bets among SEAL students kept classes fun and foster a competitive camaraderie. So if you get a wrong answer, instructors would sometimes make students drink dip spit, get their heads shaved, or forgo food until they left for training sometimes. So slightly harsher than your usual punishments. But the go-to bet in this particular classroom that day was a slap. So back to that land nav problem they're all trying to figure out. A 19-year-old student challenged a classmate who sat in front of him to deliver the right 8-digit grid square. And the challenged student fucked it up. He got it wrong. So while the other students continued their work, the pair strolled to the front of the classroom and mounted a small stage. The challenger stood a yard apart and cocked back an open palm. The other student put his hands behind his back, waiting for the slap, waiting for that blow to his face.
Like a good boy. Like if you're doing a slap game, you got to go hands behind your back.
Wait for that slap. Just shut your eyes and wait. It was a good slap, the instructor told investigators. I guess he caught him right on the button. That's right, because the slapped student stumbled. The sound of his head smacking the tiles of concrete echoed through the classroom enough to get everyone's attention, and the student's skull struck the stage with enough force that it made an audible noise. Oof. At first, he was completely passed out. People started running for medical help. At first, he seemed to respond to a sternum rub, but blood began pooling around him on the deck. By the time medical personnel arrived, he'd awakened but was combative and disoriented, and they had to pin his arms and get him into a backboard.
So let's just be clear. It wasn't the slap that made him start bleeding from the air. He was stumbling around, and it reads like he fell and smacked his head.
Well, they think the slap was so fucking hard, it like knocked him out and knocked him down.
Maybe knocked his equilibrium off?
Right. So the senior medical official at the scene later told investigators she couldn't get a straight answer from the instructor. At first, he told her the guy was just talking and fell. but then that segued into something they were just horsing around. First responders rushed the slapped student to an ER in San Diego, where they discovered he had a skull fracture and blood had oozed into the membrane between his bone and brain.
Very serious.
He was placed in a medically induced coma to control pressure caused by swelling of the brain tissue, which was pushing against his skull, threatening to suffocate his brain. The 29-year-old patient emerged from the coma 2 days later, but could not remember the slap or anything about that day or the day before or the day before.
Wow.
It remains unclear whether the patient is still in the Navy or if it left him with permanent injuries. We don't know that yet. But apparently the guy had no ill will for the guy who slapped him, said, "We were just training to become hard men." Do you think that's part of training to become hard men?
No, I don't.
No?
And somewhere else.
Well, I mean, let's back up because you don't think that a slap.
Right.
I bet that this has been done in SEAL school for fucking
Oh,
years.
yeah.
So
and it's that one
sure.
time that something comes out, and it is a freak accident, like he tripped, hit himself the wrong way. I don't think this is where, like, we look at one incident, and obviously this is a horrific thing for somebody to be hospitalized and have blood coming out their ears and probably have like a brain injury that's going to last them the rest of their life. But that's been part of like SEAL and tough culture for fucking ever. I mean, Collins, you've said that you've had the type of bet going with your soldiers.
No. We did slap bets in Iraq. We didn't do them on the face though. We did them against the chest. My problem was, I agree. This has probably been, well, it even said it's been going on for a very long time. I don't have a problem with doing stuff like this. What I kind of took umbrage though in the article is the guy said it toughens people up. I don't think slap bets make you tough.
No.
Also, if you need slap bets to toughen you up, I don't think you belong in one of our elite training schools, right? You should be tough going into that. I don't think slap bets toughen you up.
I
I think it brings you together, as it said. It develops camaraderie. I don't think that makes you tough. I think you are.
Drinking dip spit does, though.
That's just disgusting.
Right, and I don't think that that's what they're saying. I don't think that they're saying that this guy was a pussy.
Right.
So
No.
Slap bet to toughen.
But no, I reading the article, and Kate didn't mention the part that I read yesterday, but the article said one of the reasons we do slap bets and these challenge bets is to toughen people up, and I just don't think that's the right answer. I think most of these guys going in to SEAL training, to BUDS, to Army Rangers, to Air Force pararescues, you're already inherently tough, and these schools will teach you a little bit more about mental toughness and help you develop your resiliency. I don't think slap bets do that. I think that's just
this stuff
part of the culture.
is because you do have to sit. There's like a lot of physical training to like SEAL, but there's also a lot of sitting in classrooms forever, doing stuff like this, figuring out.
Makes it fun.
Yes, I
makes
agree.
it fun.
I agree.
think that's more what it is, and it kind of motivates you to not get it wrong because you don't want to get slapped in the fucking face. Like
I used to love it, dude. When we would do like in-service training, whenever we'd have different types of training, and one of the black belt instructor trainers were like, okay, you drop your blouses. You guys are going to go outside and you're going to roll for 3 minutes at a time. And so we would go outside, we would take off our tops, and the circle of Marines would like circle around you, and you legitimately grapple for 3 minutes. And that broke up the monotony of the day, like where you're used to getting in a physical confrontation, because you could be as tough as you want. But I don't think that people, just because they're a SEAL or they're a Ranger or they're a Marine or they're Airman, whoever, means that you've been in physical confrontation.
Also,
you
right,
could be tough and never been in a physical confrontation in your life. So exposing you to actually taking a punch, or exposing you to actually somebody's trying to choke you out, actively trying to choke you out, and you getting out of it.
Yeah.
I think there is some benefit whenever you're in a tough, rough
No,
environment.
you're right. No, you're right. And those things, you do need to know what that feels like to roll around or to take a punch. The only thing I'm saying with this, and I don't have a problem with doing slap bets, all I'm saying is don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining, okay? Don't tell me it's to toughen them up. Tell me it's because of what you just mentioned, chaps. Tell me it's because it develops camaraderie. I just don't like the thing that slap bets make you tough, because I don't think that's what they do.
I think it's I just feel like it's overall just a shame this guy.
It's such a freak accident.
Top of his thing, and it's a shame that he lost it because that's fucking dumb. Take him outside to grapple.
Yeah.
That to me is safer than this. Like that's got fucking SEALs
but
on a stage.
But if you asked me, like, before it started, like, if you ask anybody, because they've done it hundreds of thousands of times, I would imagine, at SEAL school, like, you're going to get slapped in the face. And, like, to get knocked out with a slap, it has to be somebody, like, one of those Russian mitts, like, that comes at you, or just an unbelievably hard slap.
I just picture this
perfectly
later
placed.
down the line, this guy being like, yeah, I was almost a Navy SEAL, dropped out. Well, what happened? Got slapped, man. Got slapped. Like, how do you tell people?
That definitely sucks.
Fucking
It definitely sucks.
dude.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you do a lot of times end up, especially now, you do make rules like that prohibit things like that because of the one time freak accident that something can happen.
Because you're right. Because how many slaps before this guy got hurt happened?
Well, slap
Thousands.
bets are forbidden by regulations there, and
I'm sure drinking dip spit.
drinking dip spit and withholding food, and that probably also is as well. And the instructors are supposed to make sure stuff like that doesn't get out of hand if they're doing it, obviously. But the Navy is saying this was a rogue SEAL instructor who let students get out of hand. So who knows?
I bet the guy who slapped just feels like shit, man.
For sure.
Like,
for sure.
19 years old, you're in SEAL training, you're amped the fuck up, you're going up there and you don't want to slap softly, so you go too far, and next thing you know, somebody's in the hospital.
Yeah.
I bet he feels like fucking
He feels
shit.
great, but I
feel sorry for that guy too.
I can understand how the other guy who got slapped said, I don't harbor any ill will towards that guy, because he was just doing what we've always been doing in SEAL training.
Well, there you have it.
When you put your hands behind your back, you're just goofing. Like, it's a goof slap, and next thing you know, something bad, terrible happens. All right, let's move on to round number 4.